Good evening. It is Thursday, September 21st, 2023 at 6 p.m. We are at the District Service Center in Cottage Grove, Minnesota. We would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the land on which we gather is the land of the Minnewacan Dakota people. Minnewacan means dwellers of the Spirit Lake. Our first item on the agenda is our roll call. Dana?
Eric Tessmer.
Here.
Louise Hines.
Here.
Pat Driscoll.
Here.
Melinda Doles.
Here.
Katie Schwartz. Here. Simi Petnaik.
Here.
Sharon Van Leer.
Present. Our Superintendent, Julie Nielsen, will join us shortly. She is presenting at our Newport City Council meeting this evening. Next, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is 3.0, and that is the approval of our agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Louise and second by Melinda. Any discussion or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. The next item on our agenda is 4.0, and that's comments to the board. At this time, individuals may speak to the school board, on any item relating to South Washington County Schools. The board will not respond or discuss your comments. Character abuse or specific complaints identifying staff, students, or task force members will not be permitted. Each speaker is permitted to speak for up to 3 minutes in total. At 3 minutes, the microphone will be turned off and we will move on to the next speaker or the next agenda item. Morgan Kastner. Into agenda items, and that will be Simi.
All consent items are considered routine and non-controversial by the school board and will be approved by a single motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. Prior to this meeting, board members have had the opportunity to review each of these items and may request that any item be moved to the action items for individual consideration. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Melinda, seconded by Louise, correct? Oh, Sharon? Oh, sorry. I heard both. Okay. I have excellent hearing, you guys. Any discussion or comments? All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Simi. Next is 6.0. 6.0 is the information items, and that is, we are at 6.1, and that is summer programming that will be presented this evening by Director of Community Ed, and that's Bob Lawrence.
I just got a promotion, it sounds like, communications and community. So, good
I give 'em
evening,
out. I
Chair
give 'em
Van Leer, Superintendent Nielsen, and members of the board. I appreciate the opportunity to take some time tonight. I know September gets off to a quick start, and then sometimes we don't have the time to look back and see what happened over the previous months, but as you know, summer's a really busy time for community ed. So I'm going to share that tonight. But I'll start with a quick trivia question. Who was the governor of Minnesota who held the first and only governor's conference on the lighted school?
On what?
The lighted school.
The lighted school? Like,
Yep.
like an electricity?
Like, keep our buildings open past 3:30 and on the weekends and all summer long. It was,
Anybody know?
Give you a hint. 1969. Who was the governor of Minnesota in 1969?
Oh, I wasn't born yet.
The Google machine tells me. No, it was Governor Levander, and he held this conference, and he invited school officials, city officials, recreation professionals together, because a report had come out the year prior from MDE that said over 70% of schools in the state of Minnesota programmed 10 weeks or less during the summer months. And he said one of our greatest investments in each community across the state is our public school building. And so there was a concerted effort to talk about how do we open up our buildings, make them available to our public, and also provide programming for our students throughout the summer months. So that's what I'm here to talk about tonight. And as I said, community ed runs a lot of programming. It's one of our busiest times in the summer, but we'll also talk a little bit about some special ed programming and our summer school known as Targeted Services. Beyond the programming that I'm going to talk about, we also made the schools available for over 22,300 hours for outside users who rented our facilities during the summer, because as you know, outside of school time, we make our schools available to the community. They can come through the Policy 901 and rent our buildings, and so we work hard to make those available and accommodating. So I'll start with our community ed programming, and one of our busiest parts of our summer is our camps and clinics programming. Camps and clinics are primarily run by district coaches and staff, and then also a lot of times they'll use older athletes to mentor and teach and train younger athletes throughout the summer months. So you'll see here that I did a comparison for the 5 years prior to this, and you can see that our numbers did take a dip as we would have expected during the summer of 2020, but really as soon as our summer camps and clinics were some of the first programming we were able to bring back, even during the pandemic, because of the outdoor space and so forth, and our ability to follow the guidelines given by the Department of Education. So you can see that while we had the 1 year dip, we came back strong, and this past summer was no exception. We ended up with 5,718 enrollments, and that was, when you take out the duplicates, over 4,000 participants, youth participants. So a strong summer. In addition, in those numbers, you'll see includes our gymnastics program. That's a large program that we run at all 3 of our high schools. And they ran Monday through Thursday during June, July, and August. And they did recreation, all-day camps, competitive team practice, and there was also some high school workouts. So again, we ran all sorts of programming throughout the summer in our fields, and you can see families, kids were looking for it, because our numbers, like I said, came right back as soon as they could. In addition to our camps and clinics, youth enrichment. So that's all of the other things that happened during the summer months. Again, you can see we took a couple of summers dip and certainly are coming back. We're not quite back to pre-pandemic numbers. Part of that is the availability of instructors. And the other thing we've seen a shift in enrichment is we learned how to do a lot of things online during the pandemic. And so families and students are continuing to do that. But the programming that we offered is well received. We had 162 camps, and this was everything from art, sewing, babysitter training, horse riding, bowling club, robotics, engineering, video game design, so a little bit of something for everybody. And really our goal there is to offer a wide variety so that we can engage students in learning about different things that they may be interested in, finding those connections with peers and so forth. We also have a large program called Camp Invention, which runs for 2 weeks, and we had 251 participants this summer. You may be familiar if you've had kids in the school. We offer 2 programs that are correspondence programs in the summer. One is GRASP, and that's just to help alleviate learning loss, and gives kids a workbook that they work throughout 10 weeks in the summer. And then a few years ago, we started offering a program called SOAR, which is specific to South Washington County Schools curriculum, and that's a web-based program. So those were both popular as well. And then finally, when I talk about enrichment, I can't talk about enrichment without talking about Schoolie. It's our converted school bus. I was going to drive it over and have it in the parking lot tonight, but decided against it just because our old schoolie is getting a little old and tired, but we have a new schoolie, as some of you who are in the parades know. So we're working on getting that up and running. But over the summer, schoolie was at over 50 events, and so this included the family fun nights, where we would get between 50 to 100 participants coming. We worked with community agencies and organizations to provide food and games and activities, and served over 2,000 meals. They also raised money and collected school supplies, and delivered over 200 backpacks with the money and the supplies that they collected to students in our schools. So youth enrichment, like I said, is another really popular and important program that we offer throughout the summer months. Our largest program for community ed, as far as the number of students and also the length of the time, because it runs June 26th through August 25th, so a very long chunk of time, is our Kids Club program. We offered at 4 sites, and you can see here, looking at the numbers throughout the years, we definitely saw a reduction over the 2020, where we didn't offer any fee-based programming, because that was when we offered essential care. So we still had programming, but that was under the guidance of MDE and essential care. But we started to bring back our programming over the past 3 summers, and you can see we're slowly getting back to those pre-pandemic numbers. Really what was holding us up from achieving those, the demand is certainly there, it's our ability to staff. So we're working on ways to continue to recruit staff. We bring in a lot of college kids in the summertime to be paraprofessionals. In fact, we had this summer, more than I think I can remember in my 10 years here, a lot of kids of administrators in the district, teachers in the district, so they know they can come back and have a job with us. And our kids in the program love to see those college-age students as in the program, because they often serve as mentors and as that friendly connection with a young adult. We couldn't do our big program of Kids Club without support. So although it is our Kids Club team that puts this program on, we work with all sorts of departments throughout the district to be successful in the summer. We have nursing who come and help us support student needs across all of our sites and on our field trips. Nutrition services provides breakfast, lunch, and snacks, and the occasional ice cream treat. Transportation, our field trips are a really important part of summer to give kids that ability to get out and see and learn new things. And so we work with our transportation department to get our kids out. And then custodians. As you can imagine, there's a lot of work to do in the summer for custodians, keeping our buildings, doing a lot of deep cleaning, getting ready for a new school year. So they work with us to kind of move us around as needed to get the cleaning done, but also help us get the program and provide the space that we need to do the programming. Here are just after a few slides with charts and numbers and graphs. These are just a few pictures of our summer Kids Club program. On the upper left, you'll see some of our staff. They do theme days throughout the summer. So this was Tourist Day. So our staff were dressed as tourists. On the right, we did a long-term project. It was creating a marble maze from boxes, straws, and all kinds of recycled material. And then, of course, Legos throughout. So that was a project that they could keep going back to and keep adding on to. And then finally, at the bottom, there was a community service component working with Schoolie, as I mentioned. They collected, gently used school supplies, and also were able to purchase some new school supplies with the lemonade stand that they held, and stuffed backpacks for students in our district. So that's what that final picture is. A quick quote, I had lots to choose from, but this was one that I think really talks about the value that parents have in our program. They talked about a child with some special needs, and they said, staff is absolutely fantastic at Kids Club. They listen to advice given by teachers about my child and utilize great systems for helping my child. I was very pleased, and that's what we want is happy parents and happy kids. In addition to our youth programming, we also have adult programming in the summer, although not quite as much. Our Great Rivers Adult Education Consortium oversees credit recovery, and this summer we had 550 students, and they recovered 571 credits. That is a year-round program, but in the summer we offer it in late June, so students can come in and catch up on some credits that they maybe didn't achieve during the school year. And then for our adult learners, we don't measure necessarily participation numbers with ABE. We count hours, because that's how our funding formula works. So we had over 3,000 hours of student contact time in the summer for adult basic education, primarily English language learning, and then some students looking for GED or diploma. And then we also run limited programming, but we do have program all summer long for our adults and our senior citizens. So you can see there were 379 participants this summer with adults. So really, we continue to make programming available for all of those ages throughout the summer in an attempt to engage, to provide learning opportunities, enrichment, and also to keep the buildings occupied and lively all summer long. Just a quick, in addition to all of the programming I talked to, and we do have accommodations in place to serve kids with disabilities, there is a specific program for special education. It's called ESY, or Extended School Year. And you can see here that we serve early childhood special education, K-12, and this is an invite program. It was offered at a number of elementary schools, as well as Cottage Grove Middle and Park High School, and then at our Pathways transition program. So that's the month of July. It's our special education programming, ESY. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about, and this is a handful of slides, is our targeted services summer schools. So these next slides were actually prepared by Dr. Chris Scallon. She is our extended learning coordinator. She couldn't be here tonight, or she would have taken over at this time, because our summer school, our targeted services summer school, is really something that we're working to continue to grow and develop. And so she provided the information for me to share with you tonight. It is offered at throughout the month of July, from July 10th through the 27th, at elementary and middle schools, and it's for students entering grades 1 through 8. You can see the sites where it was offered, and then also, in addition, Newport offered one specifically for Newport students a little bit later in the summer, working with Newport teachers, and provided that for students at the end of July and into August. So you can see in the last couple of years, the numbers are pretty consistent and similar to last year, as we, like I said, are looking to grow the program and expand what we can offer. And one thing that was updated this year was the curriculum. Targeted services instruction is designed to maximize student success and engagement, and the curriculum centered around the theme, be kind, be strong, and be well. Elementary students engaged in a research unit, and each grade level had hands-on practice with grade level math concepts and daily physical activities. So they worked those into all of the activities that they did. Social emotional learning is a requirement for targeted services, and our teachers use Character Strong, which is a research-based emotional learning resource to strengthen classroom connections and relationship skills. And another note that we were able to work with nutrition services to provide breakfast and lunch during this programming. So at the middle school, there was even more of an update with some structure change as well as the curriculum. And the theme for the summer program was Engage, Achieve, and Belong. Students began each day with AVID activities during a 20-minute home base or homeroom session. Then they rotated through a 3-period day and attended 50-minute sessions of math, English language arts, and computer science. Learning activities included STEM challenges and were interactive and project-based. 10 of the middle school students were English language newcomers and received instructions from an EL teacher, and then incoming 6th graders who participated in the summer were able to practice their transition, so they were a little bit more prepared when they got to middle school in the fall. So as we look to continue to grow this programming, we're looking ahead. We'll have 4 weeks of programming next summer. One of the indicators, we love to have staff that come back, and because they have a good experience, and we know that happy and positive staff lead to happy and positive kids, and so 92% of our teachers this summer said they anticipate coming back again next year, so that's a great indicator. Eligibility criteria are looking to be adjusted a little bit based on capacity, so students are invited to this program, and so as we look at how many teachers we're able to recruit, then that determines some of our capacity. So we hope to increase enrollment, and then focusing on high energy activities, or activity-based curriculum and positive relationships. So I didn't have to, Julie had told me if she's not back in time, I have to go real slow so that Dan could get back in time to do the next item.
Or have more jokes, but I said try the pacing first.
Well, I thought about doing illusions or magic tricks, which isn't my thing, but I do have 40 summer-related general trivia questions that I can share with you after the meeting.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, I had a few questions. So one, I was able to attend a few schoolie events this summer, and I really enjoyed them. They're a lot of fun, and the kids and families always seem to be having a great time. One of the questions I had, you mentioned that with Kids Club, staffing was the reason why you could not expand Kids Club to be more, to offer more Kids Club to, is that the case for all of the programming that Community Ed runs, or is that really like a?
It's really the Kids Club Limited right now. That's what's holding year-round. We're working to recruit staff, and we have waiting lists for the upcoming school year. We had waiting lists for the summer. We have ratios that we must follow, and so as we hire more staff, we open up more spaces.
What do the waiting lists look like? Like how many more kids would we have served if we had been able to staff the way we wanted to?
So that's tough because often when we open up spots, once we're staff, we'll call and they'll have found an alternate option. I don't have a number. I can get that to you. I would say a few hundred would be a reasonable assumption.
Okay.
So it is definitely, when you saw that we I think it was 900
kids or whatever.
And pre-COVID it was about 1,200. And 1,200 at that time, we didn't see those waiting lists. So I'm thinking if we're back at that sort of number, that would make sense.
Okay. And then for the targeted services summer school, so looks like it's a couple week period per school. How, so students are chosen by their schools heading into the summer, correct?
And fortunately, Dr. Scallon gave me a nice little cheat sheet of Q&A of anticipated questions, and that is one of them. So there are to identify students for summer school, there are a number of criteria that are given to us by the state, and so they must meet 3 or more of the following. So it's either their MAP scores below the 40th percentile, they're at risk or emergency IRLA level, so they're below grad level benchmark. They have chronic absenteeism, they receive EL service, they need additional emotional support, social emotional support, they're homeless, or they have specific circumstances like a parent with chronic illness. So there's 3 or more of those are met, and then that's how students are targeted.
Okay. And then when we offer targeted services to students, do we see, like, are the families likely to follow up or likely to take part, or is there some gap between who we want to see and who we get to see?
Yeah, and I don't have that on here, but certainly we invite more students than we get because we know that there is a difference there because of a number of factors, whether families have other plans in the summer or maybe they're going to kids club or something like that. So we over invite knowing that there's some percentage, but again, I don't have the percentage for you. So.
I realize I probably should have sent you those ahead of time, sorry, but.
No, I can certainly get those answers.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Next is 7.0, our action items, and the first item in that is 7.1, preliminary levy, and that will be presented this evening by our Dan Pine, Executive Director of Finance and everything else.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Van Leer, member of the school board, Superintendent Nielsen. Tonight I'm here to present and ask for approval of the preliminary tax levy for taxes payable in 2024. As I said last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, this is a levy season. Real exciting time. It's also football season. Levy season is probably a little more important, but I don't know if it reminded me of a story when my uncle, Sonny, back in the old days, my dad told me this story. His brother was a tremendous football star in the 40s, and before he went off to Korea for the war. And my grandpa, his dad, my grandpa, he was a real hardworking blue-collar guy who didn't really have time for anything except for hunting. And one day Sonny said, "Pops, you got to come and watch me play sometime." He goes, "Why would I do that?" He goes, "Well, just for me. Come and watch me play sometime." He had never seen a football game. He goes to this high school football game and goes on forever, and then it gets done. And that night, Sonny comes home and says to my grandpa, he says, "Well, what you think, Pops?" He said, "I don't know. It's a lot of grunting, a lot of screaming, and a lot of fuss just for 25 cents. He goes, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "They kept kept saying, get that quarterback, get that quarterback. It's really an old one. It's a true story, though. Anyway. So each year, the school board must approve a preliminary levy by September 30th. You know, our levy provides about 25% of the district's general fund revenue and about 31% of the district's total revenue. MDE, Minnesota Department of Education, they actually provide our levy reports. It basically, almost every levy has some kind of limit to it. It's limited either by law or by you, the school board, or by the voters as they approve operating levies and bond elections. We've attached the summary of the levy, and some of the main things to look at is in total, the preliminary levy is about $121 million. It's an increase of about 7% from last year. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's taxes are going to go up 7%, because as we look at our market values of our properties in this district, we see tremendous growth. Our taxable market value has increased by 22%. Our referendum market value has increased about 21%. And our tax capacity, meaning that's the total capacity if you use all the tax rates set by the legislature, in this district has increased by 20%. So as we go to the next T&T meeting, Truth and Taxation meeting in December, we should have some tax impacts for you to see how this levy affects taxes. But any time that your property values and your tax capacity goes up by almost 3 times what the levy goes up, it should balance things out pretty well. And we should also note that our new construction went up about 12% or 11%. And when we talk about new construction, these are just the dollars of new construction. So it really just means that we have 10% more new construction than we did the year before. This levy could change, obviously, because we have elections coming up in November. The county assessor, auditor will not have the information in time on the election to put it on the proposed taxes. So the proposed taxes will come out and they'll say, you know, these are the proposed taxes. However, they may change depending on the outcome of your school district's election. Of course, our election is a bond election. Looking at the payments that would be made in the first year on that bond with taxes payable in 2024, it would raise a levy of about $5 million. Probably some of the biggest increases were in the referendum levy. That's for 2 reasons. One is increase in students, because the referendum levy is based on the number of students times of amount approved by the voters. And also that amount is tied to inflation, and inflation was very high last year, so that inflation number was pretty high in the referendum dollars. So it was a very prudent thing to have that passed because it helps you keep up. You're going to have a better rate on your operating levy than you are on your basic formula that you get from the state. Otherwise, what we asked tonight is for the board to approve the maximum, just the word maximum, not the actual dollar amount, for 2 reasons. By law, once you approve the preliminary levy, you cannot ask for an approval of a higher levy. And obviously, if the election passes, the levy would have to go up. You can always come back and approve a lower levy, but you can't approve a higher levy than tonight. So the state has put in place a mechanism to say this board approves the maximum levy law by law on this date tonight. And so I'm asking for a motion to approve the levy at the maximum setting.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the levy?
So moved.
Who?
Oh, sorry. All right, moved by Pat, second.
By Simi. Okay, is there any discussion or comments? Okay, seeing none. All those approve?
Aye.
Oppose? Motion is carried. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Next is 7.2, resolution appointing election judges, again presented by Dan Pine.
Good evening again. Tonight, we're asking for approval of a resolution appointing our election judges. As you know, we'll have an election on November 7th. Not only will there be a bond election and a capital projects question, but there'll also be election of school board members. Dana has put together the individuals specified in Exhibit A, each of whom, these are the election judges, is qualified to serve as an election judge and will be appointed as judges of the election for the school district election on November 7th, 2023, to act as such at the polling places. The election judges appointed by the City of Cottage Grove, the City of Newport, the City of St. Paul Park, the City of Afton, Denmark Township, and Gray Cow Township for the elections in that city are also appointed as election judges of the school district's election to act such as the individual city precincts located in the school district. With that, I would ask that you approve the resolution appointing election judges, and the election judges are listed on the attachment.
Okay, thank you. This will be a roll call vote. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Linda, second by Eric. Okay.
Are there restrictions on who can be an election judge?
You know,
So
Dana?
Washington County, with the memorandum of agreement that we have with Washington County is actually in charge of our election judges and hiring them.
Can you be on the ballot and be an election judge?
No.
Because
No.
there's somebody on the ballot who is listed as an election judge.
I will find out.
You cannot.
I think not. Okay.
Please strike that name, or
I think, I guess we'd have to make an emotion to amend the list.
Is that how we do it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
what's the name?
Anthony Mahmood,
Oh, is he an election judge?
he's running for school board.
You cannot.
And he's listed as under P8 Newport.
Yes. I'm well aware that that's the rule because I've been an election judge many times, and when I've been on the ballot, you can't be. So,
Is the person on our ballot?
yes.
Anybody, do you see anyone else on there?
I've never come across this in 26 years, so.
Okay, so Bob just found the information. So I would suggest making a, voting down the current motion on the table, making a new motion to approve it minus that person's name.
Let's see.
And I'll reach out to Washington County for follow-up.
Okay, so how are we going to do this?
Well, because, in this, I'm assuming this person is not related, but I don't know. Can you be related to somebody? You can't be related.
Yeah,
Not, you can't
No.
be in the direct family.
You can't be, because there's somebody with the same last name, but I don't know if they're related or not.
You know, a person who is a relative of a candidate for office cannot serve in a precinct where that candidate is on the ballot.
Yeah, so there's another person with the same last name, but I also know that different, like, unrelated people have unrelated last names.
Well, maybe that's something we need to check, though, to make sure.
And Dane, if I recall, you shared that the election judges can be amended by the county.
Correct.
When she put this list, or when we received the list, she said that many times this list is amended from now until the election day, but this is the point in time where we have to approve the base of the election judges.
Yeah, it authorizes the board to the board hereby authorizes the appointment of additional election judges as needed. So it doesn't specify removing them, but I would suggest either rescinding the motion or voting this motion down and starting a new motion minus that person's name if we're confident that that person is on our ballot.
yes, you have a motion that's been seconded to approve the resolution as it is with that list, so
You say what now?
you could withdraw the motion, right?
I think we would have
Second
to
that.
withdraw it because
Yeah.
we shouldn't technically vote on it, because what if we would vote
Right.
yes,
Right.
then we're,
So the person who made the motion would be the one to withdraw it.
And that would be Linda.
I vote that we withdraw the previous motion.
Well, you move to withdraw, and then you'd have to have a second.
Okay.
Get a
What?
second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Yeah, you vote on
But
this.
if she, did we have to vote for her withdrawing it?
You
Yeah,
seconded,
Oh,
you
okay.
right.
seconded it, now a vote to rescind.
Not, yes. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried.
And I
Now,
would ask you to move to approve the resolution and the list minus, less the name of, I saw it on here,
It was
Anthony Mermard.
Anthony Mahmood.
Should we add or any relative of his, or should we just wait to figure that out?
Can we make the motion to remove any candidate on the ballot and anyone in relation to a candidate on the ballot instead of naming a specific
Specific person,
person?
I agree.
Or
And then
someone
we can find out if we
That's not
have anybody
qualified.
else.
Yep, that's
Remove
not
it.
qualified.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay,
okay,
sounds good.
okay, Katie, you want to put your motion?
Say it again. I make a motion to
Approve the resolution.
approve the resolution
And list.
minus any person that is not qualified to be an election judge based on being a candidate or a relative of a candidate that is currently on the ballot. I say it better the first time.
Thank you. See, and you expected me to remember that too. All right, all those in favor?
No, we
Oh,
have a second.
Okay,
Second.
okay. All those approve?
This is a roll call
It's a
vote.
roll call.
Roll call, oh, yeah.
Eric
Forgot already.
Tessmer,
Yes.
Louise Hines,
Yes.
Pat Driscoll,
Yes.
Melinda Doles,
Yes.
Katie Schwartz.
Yes.
Simi Petniak.
Yes.
Sharon Van Leer.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Where are we now? Thank you. Parliamentarian. Now we have 7.3, intra-district transfers and open enrollment perimeters resolution, and that is presented this evening by Kelly Jensen, the Assistant Superintendent.
Good evening, Board Chair Van Leer, School Board members, and Superintendent Nielsen. As you recall, at our last school board meeting, I reviewed the information related to open enrollment into our school district for non-resident students. I am here tonight on behalf of the Assistant Superintendents. Christine and Tyrone are out presenting on bond information to a community group. I'm here to request the approval of the resolution limiting open enrollment. I do want to call your attention that the admin report says 23-24, and this resolution is actually for 24-25. There's nothing in the resolution language that needs to be changed. It's just that note on the admin report. This resolution adopts standards for accepting and rejecting open enrollment applications in accordance with the Enrollment Options Program statute. The passing of this resolution establishes the number of open enrollment applications that will be accepted to be the lesser of 1% of the total enrollment at that grade level in the district, or the number of district residents at that grade level who are enrolled in a non-resident school. The resolution also goes on to identify an additional parameter related to capacity, and it states that a program class or school building is at capacity if adding the student would require us to would require any of the following: additional physical space when it is not readily available, an addition of a staff member, or a change that would affect the quality of the education provided. Additionally, information that can also be considered when determining capacity include our staff to student ratios, current or projected enrollment, current or projected staffing, the size and other physical attributes of the facility, recommendations from the Department of Education, the Department of Health, or the Center for Disease Control, any applicable social distancing requirements, and other factors that affect the quality of education. Leaves it pretty wide open for capacity. But this resolution does identify each school's individual capacity. They are listed in there. And it permits us to close a school if they have reached 90% of their capacity for elementary and 95% of their capacity for middle schools and high schools. So as mentioned at the last board meeting, using these capacity parameters, we are recommending the following schools to be closed to new open enrollment for the 24-25 school year: Bailey Elementary, Gray Cloud Elementary, Pine Hill Elementary, and Red Rock Elementary, Cottage Grove Middle School, Lake Middle School, Altman Middle School, Woodbury Middle School, Eastridge High School, Park High School, and Woodbury High School. At this time, we would like to request the adoption of this resolution for the 24-25 school year.
Okay. Thank you, Kelly. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution?
Second.
Moved by Katie, second by Simi. Any discussion? Roll call.
Louise Hines,
Yes.
Pat Driscoll,
Yes.
Melinda Doles,
Yes.
Katie Schwartz.
Yes.
Simi Petniak.
Yes.
Eric Tessmer,
Yes.
Sharon Van Leer.
Yes. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Next is 7.4, proposed policy changes, and that will be presented this evening by our Superintendent, Julie Nielsen.
Good evening and thank you. This evening I am bringing forward 6 policies for final approval. 4 of those policies were in the area of athletics and activities. We had athletic and activity participation, scholastic eligibility and fee schedule, along with field trips, all related to athletics and activities. And then finally, 903.1 was our student teaching and internship agreement, as well as 908 school community relations. This evening I am asking for approval on those 6 policies.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the policies?
So moved.
Who?
Pat.
Pat,
Second.
second by Simi. Is there any comments or discussion?
I do have one discussion point, Sharon.
Okay.
For policy 908, it removes the term parents from the policy and replaces it with families. I understand the reason for inserting families into that to include family structures that maybe don't have parents as it would be defined typically. But I guess my opinion is that we should leave the term parents in the policy as well. And if we want to include the term families with that, I certainly understand that and think that's probably a good thing to do. But I think parents, because they make up the bulk of those people that are responsible for students in the district, or I have to believe they make up the bulk of that, I think that it's a mistake to remove the term parents from that policy. And I don't know if that's something that would continue to be a pattern in the policy review board where the term parents would be removed and replaced with families, but if so, I would, I guess, discourage that, and I would continue to keep the word parent in there.
Anybody else?
I disagree with that. I think the word family is more inclusive, and that's the one we should use.
Okay. I agree. As a foster parent and a grandparent and a great-grandparent, I am not the parent. I am the family member. So I think to encompass, include in the definition of family is parent. No, it looks different for many, many families in our community. So I am in agreement to keep, to change the language to family. Anybody else?
I would like to encourage, our policies are brought forward at a workshop meeting, where it's a great time for us to discuss and have conversation around all of the policies. I would encourage board members, if they do have questions about those policies, to bring that forward at our first reading so that we can make those changes and bring them forward to be voted on, rather than changing a policy or trying to attempt to change a policy that board members have known about for 2 weeks on the night that we're voting on those policies.
Okay, thank you. Okay, are we ready to vote?
If I could just make one final comment.
Okay.
Again, as I said before, I'm not looking to not include the term family in the policy. I think that that's a proper thing to do. I'm looking to continue to keep the word parent in there because I think it's significant enough where it should be in the policy. Furthermore, this is the first time I have read this policy, so that is why I'm bringing it up right now.
Okay.
One more comment. We were given these policies, just so public knows, these policies are given to board members 1 week prior to the first reading of the policies, and board members are encouraged to read their agendas, read the policies so that they are prepared for meetings. So the board has had these policies for at least 3 weeks. Thank you.
Okay, can I get, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried. Next is 8.0, and that is our superintendent's report, and that will be given by none other than Ms. Julie Nielsen.
Thank you. Outside of what you're hearing up at the board table, some coughing and sniffling, this is what happens when we get back into the schools with the children. It's all normal. I know, between the voices and some of the coughing and the germs. The water being passed up here, if you notice a little awkwardness, there's water and Kleenexes being passed. Just to share with the board, and I think Sharon shared as well, we were out, we just did our informational campaign presentation with the City of Newport. We have another group, Dr. Brookins and Ms. Christine Schaefer are out doing a presentation. So like I said, those first 2 weeks are let's enjoy the kids coming back and enjoy the excitement that they bring into our schools. And now we are officially on what I'm calling the campaign trail, making sure that our communication is out there, that people feel like they're informed. We have talked at the 3 meetings that we've done so far about what people can count on. People can count on our website being up to date with the calculator as well as boundaries. They can count on a mailing in October that will be sent to all of our residents and taxpayers. They can count on community meetings if they would like to attend to learn more. And then we would also offer that if there are any groups that would like to hear the information, whether it be a coffee group or a social group you get together, if you would like someone from the district to come and share the information, we are here to do just that. We want to make sure that everyone within South Washington County Schools, regardless if they have children in the district or not, that they know about what's at stake on November 7th for South Washington County Schools and the students we serve. Just a couple of shout outs. As I have walked through our schools, and I've been now in all of our schools with the exception of 2. Actually, I've been in there, but not when there were kids. I still have 2 to go yet tomorrow or into next week. I would like to give a huge shout out to our custodial staff. They work tirelessly all summer. And as you heard Bob Lawrence talk about the summer programming, they are in and out of those classrooms. They clean before, they clean after, they clean during. But it takes a lot of coordination. And to be honest, our buildings sparkle. In our 1960 school, they even sparkle a little more. I don't know what it is, but even our old facilities really, really sparkle. So a big shout out to our custodial staff. Second, to our nutrition services staff. At the last board meeting, I shared the number of meals that they are serving. That has not slowed down an ounce. They are busy. People are taking advantage of the free breakfast, advantage of the free lunch, which is just what we wanted, but it does put a lot of extra burden on just the number of meals being served by that staff, but always pleasant, always fun to connect with when I go out to schools. And then finally, to our paraprofessional staffs, we are, of course, still hiring in some areas, but the paraprofessional staff that we have, we are very grateful for what they're doing in the areas of supervision and supporting our students.
Okay, thank you. All right, we are at 9.0, our future meeting dates. We have a school board workshop meeting on October 5th, 2023, and a school board business meeting on Tuesday, October 17th, 2023, due to MEA week. Both meetings will be held at 6:00 p.m. here at the District Service Center. And now we are at 10.0, and we are adjourned.